Okay, in this video, I'm going to show you how to use Minitab to make some graphs and do some numeric summaries. So first of all, you want to get into Minitab, and you can just Google Shippensburg Minitab, and then click on this link, and you'll see right here, you want to click here. This will bring you into Minitab, which is free to you for you to use. If you click up here, you'll be asked to log in. I've already done that, but then you'll click in under Analytics, and you'll be brought to Minitab. So in Minitab, there's a spreadsheet down below, and that's where your data goes. And then up here are commands that we'll use to either make graphs or do numeric summaries and do a lot of other things this semester. And up in this window, we'll get our output. So sometimes if you just have data, you could give it a name and enter your data here if it's a small data set. But sometimes we have a data set that's large and we want to be able to import it. So if you click open and then go to where your data is, mine's in my downloads. So I'll select open local file and then go to my downloads and choose my data set. Okay, and then load it. So this data set was just a survey I asked my students on the first day of class. So their gender, their class year, what they would order at a wedding for dinner, whether or not they've traveled out of the United States. So you can see that a number of those variables I just mentioned are categorical, but then others are quantitative, like how many states have you visited, or how tall are you, or things of that nature. So we want to be able to make relevant graphs depending on the type of variable. So let's start off and look at the wedding. What are you going to order to eat when you go to a wedding? And this is categorical. So the common graphs that we could use are a pie chart or a bar graph. So if you click on graph and then go down to pie chart and click on counts of unique values, and then select the the variable you want to make a graph of. And that's what they're going to order at a wedding, which is in column 3. So select that and then just click OK. And if you can't see the full graph, it's kind of hidden behind this. If you see this white box up here, click on that. That's going to give only the output. So now I can see a breakdown that almost half the class are going to order prime rib. And if I hover over the pie slice, I can actually see the percentage. So 48.6% will order prime rib, followed by 27% ordering salmon, and then chicken, 20%, and then a small amount ordering vegetarians. If you want to actually see these values, the percentages of the counts here, go back into graph, pie chart, and count of unique values, and then click options and select frequency and percent. Okay, okay again. And now you actually see the counts along with the percentages for each pie slice. For a bar graph, we can make a bar graph of that same data. Go to bar chart, counts of unique variables. We have one variable, the menu item, and then select that same set of data. Okay, now we have a breakdown, so a bar chart of that same variable. Okay, I'm going to go back over here and click on this data and output so I see my data again. Let's say I want to look at how many state students have visited, and I'm going to make a dot plot of that graph. So I can go to graph, dot plot, and then do a simple dot plot, and then select the variable we're graphing is in column 9. How many states have you visited? You might notice that some of the columns aren't showing up here. Anything that is categorical will not show up here because you can't make a dot plot of categorical data. So it's only showing you your numeric variables. Okay, and again, we have a nice dot plot of the distribution of states visited. If you hover over one of the dots, you can actually see the value. Okay, and if you want to change, like the title here got cut off, you can go to graph options and then play around with this. So you can change your title or change the x-axis so things aren't truncated. Okay, and whoops, let me get that out of the way. If we do that, that will fix this now. So it now says visited. All right. Likewise for graph, you could make a stem and leaf plot of that same data. And if you go ahead and select that same variable in C9, you'll see the stem and leaf plot. A histogram is most common. We could make a histogram of that same data, simple histogram, and just select that variable. You could play around with options if you wanted to. Okay, but again, you see you get this histogram. Again, and if the drop in this, if you hover over a bar, then you can look to see a bin, excuse me, you can see what the width is on that bin interval and how many values fell in that. So there were 17 data points in this one bin. The drop-down arrow, you can do graph options. And again, you can play around with graphed options to make variations of this graph. Okay, the last graph we talked about was a box plot. And again, we can just do a simple box plot, and then we can pick maybe, I asked students to pick their favorite random number between 1 and 9, I believe, or 1 and 10. Click OK, and you can see the box plot. You might say, oh, there's no line for median. And that's because the median, if you hover, you can see the median value is exactly equal to Q3. So the median and Q3 are the same in this case right here. Okay, so the other thing I want to show you is if you want to find means and medians and standard deviation in IQR. So let's go back to states visited data. To do that, you're going to go to Stat, Basic Statistics, and then you're going to go Display Descriptive Statistics, and you want to select your quantitative variable, and ours maybe is how many hours did you sleep last night? Let's say we did that one. Okay, under statistics, the ones that are checked are all default. So if you don't want something, just uncheck it, and if you want something, check it. So maybe we want to also end up seeing IQR. I'll check that. And then Minitab will give you the mean, the standard deviation S, the median. Here's the 5-number summary and the IQR. So it's that easy to do. For categorical data, like the wedding data, we might want a breakdown of how many people chose salmon or prime rib or the percentages. To do that, you want to go to Stat, Tables, Tally Individual Variables, and then you want to select that variable. So the wedding data, C3, and maybe I want counts and percentages. So I'll click OK. And now this will give me how many people were in each category and then the percentage who answered each of these values. Okay, so Minitab is very powerful and pretty straightforward to use. I'll have some videos throughout the class. In addition, in the lesson notes, I have screenshots that show you how to do the things that I was just talking about.